Hey guys! So, we recently got the news that Nintendo is establishing a new part of their company in Singapore to expand their business in Southeast Asia, and I think this is pretty interesting since I've been friends with Marcus for a little while now and he lives in Malaysia, and he has an interesting experience with Nintendo products there and being like a Mario fan there and everything. So, we wanted to discuss how Nintendo is going to do this and how this will affect things in the region. Since Marcus, you have like a lot of like experience over the past couple of years, like kind of buying different Nintendo products there and kind of like seeing like how they're selling them. But maybe give like a brief rundown of like how things currently are with Nintendo there.
So for context, I did have the Switch OLED model since May of 2023, well, way before the Switch 2 releases, of course, and soon after the Mario movie started. And I purchased that thing for like around 308 US dollar equivalent here, and the games here is quite a lot, of course, because mainly due to the fact that the games and the Nintendo hardware itself is distributed by at least two of them. There's two distributors here, but mostly both of which is actually a subsidiary from a company, from a distribution company in Singapore. And so far, it's kind of been really good because you can actually get Nintendo stuff through these two of these distributors, as well as the importers who getting the Nintendo Switch games, mainly some of the third-party games like Capcom and Bandai Namco from the same regions like the R3 or maybe Europe or even from the US itself. And every time when I see most of the Nintendo's first-party games when they release is kind of bit cheaper than the one that is in the US. So in the US, usually I call it the Switch 1 flagship game, specifically from Nintendo, was in the US was like 60 US dollars. But right here on average was about 189 or about 45 US dollars. But excluding the Tears of the Kingdom, which is around 55 versus 70. But generally, yes, they do have some sort of a regional pricing here because the fact that because of the purchasing power stuff, like because my home country's minimum wage is around 400 US dollars. So keep in mind, and currently since the Switch 2 releases, there's both of these distributors, they already bring it in, but there's a quite huge differences between two of the distributors. So one of the distributors, they are selling Nintendo Switch 2, the hardware itself, for like almost the same price as how the PS5 is being sold here, the one with the disc and a controller, which is about 600 US dollars. But another distributors right here, like the one that I saw in the game shop that I'm working at, is about 475 US dollars, which is like still slightly steep than the ones that you see in the US, but still, yeah, it recently like having some sort of price cut, like the Mario Kart World Bundle, which is, in my opinion, the best on earth because mine still has the physical Mario Kart World inside the box, and I purchased it at that time, which is the same price as the one that another distributor selling the standalone Switch 2, which is about 589 US dollars at that time. But right now, because they got it from another distributor, and because of the major significant price cut, because obviously because of the October's Pokemon Legends Zaza bundle going to coming out as well, so they were doing like sometimes they're going to do a little bit of price cut just to clear off some of the inventory over there, like lately, or maybe they do this on purpose because of sometimes they do price cut for specifically for holidays or anything, like for instance, back in August, Sony did doing some price adjustments, but only for like for a couple of days because of the holidays, because of the public holiday thing in my area. Like for instance, we got the Independence Day as well, and yeah, sometimes it could be like they cut it like few hundred instead of like really like $24.99 for a standard models. So so yeah, generally the console itself and the games were kind of a bit cheap compared to the ones in the US, but for the Switch 2, it is almost similar, but the console itself is currently still definitely at the start. The console itself is definitely way expensive than the ones in the US, but eventually, I hope that maybe in the long term, maybe just like the Switch one, they might actually like selling it way cheaper than the one in the US. So I think it's kind of be really a bit lucky, but as well as kind of a bit cursed at the same time, because the fact that like the console itself felt like way too expensive for a person who is earning the minimum wage. So they kind of like holding off the purchase. So
yeah. So it definitely seems like with the Switch 2, I feel like that was probably due to stock, why it's been like expensive, but now kind of lowering in price like a little bit over the past few months. It kind of seems like, yeah, since it's a pretty new system at this point, it kind of makes sense. But I think I've also heard that you don't officially have the eShop and Nintendo Switch Online over there. You kind of have to get like the American version of it in order to access it. Is that right? Because
oh yes, that's true. Because for a while, Nintendo Switch Online nor the eShop does launches neither of the countries, specifically in Southeast Asia, because Nintendo Switch Online was like, I don't know how many years old. I think it was like some 6 years, while PlayStation Network itself has been like more than for us, I think since a PS3 era. So they recently do have the PlayStation Plus in my home country, as well as a few others, but unfortunately not in Philippines. If I'm not mistaken. So for the PlayStation side, yes, they do have the PlayStation Plus subscription stuff, and yes, although the service itself is not really 100% the same as the other regions that have the full PlayStation Plus service. Like for instance, maybe like cloud gaming and stuff. Like currently, the subscription itself has been already like already made some sort of the price adjustments, and currently it's like around, for the essential PlayStation Plus subscription thing, like you have to pay like $35 monthly, which is an equivalent of $8.30, which is also different compared to the ones in the US, which is like $10 a month for essential PlayStation Plus subscription. Like that is a month basis, and while for a Nintendo Switch Online, currently I only using the US region stuff, because then again, Nintendo Switch Online nor the eShop does available in my home country. Neither does all of Southeast Asia as well, since Nintendo is still like, because I was thinking like Nintendo is reluctant on doing some online expansion, and the only way to do it is either you're gonna change the region to somewhere else, like Hong Kong, Japan, or even like some maybe like Australia, or the only best option available is the US, because based on my experience, I went into some of the game shops. They quote unquote do sell the Switch Nintendo eShop game cards. I mean the gift cards. So not the game cards, but gift cards. So yeah, which is the only way for me to get the Nintendo Switch Online subscription thing, which is if I don't remember, it's like I got the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack thing for like $50. That is like around 250 plus because of the eShop credits stuff that I have to purchase it. So so yes, I still wanted the Nintendo Switch Online thing to be launched in my home country so that I can able to see how the Switch Online subscription things works right here, because there's a huge possibility where they're gonna pricing it like significantly, like somewhat different, like how PlayStation does because of our purchasing power, pretty much like how Steam selling the games right here cheaper compared to the ones that in the US. So it's kind of been really like, yeah, it's kind of be really funny experience where a lot of people are getting the Switch Online through the other regions instead of here, because then again, Nintendo does not providing that service yet, while waiting for them to officially like doing some expansion. Because back in the day, like during the 3DS era, they do have the Nintendo eShop, but unfortunately, it's not like a really full service. They're just only giving you like some sort of a maybe some sort of giving you some updates, because it's not like what the Switch does. Like you can just update the app or the game directly through the menu instead of through the eShop. So, all right.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty fascinating how they actually sell like the gift cards, even though they're like the eShop in Switch Online and everything isn't technically like officially in your region yet. Like somehow like the distributor was like able to do that. So I kind of find that pretty interesting. That's almost like if they sold like European or Japanese gift cards in the US. I just think that's pretty interesting that you're able to like get things like through that. But now that Nintendo is actually like establishing like a headquarters in Southeast Asia, it will probably be a little more straightforward for you and won't be like as complicated as like it has been before. So I think that's pretty good there. In terms of prices, I think it probably, I'm not sure how much it would change. Do you think, like, in terms of, like, games, not just, like, Switch Online, but do you think games will stay about the same? Or do you think, they will get cheaper or more expensive?
All right. Most probably. All right. Most probably, like, when we look at back to the Sony's PlayStation. Yes, they do selling it slightly more expensive than the ones in the US, but I do see some of the games, like for instance, like the flagship games, like the probably a few upcoming PlayStation games, like sometimes Death Stranding or the upcoming Ghost of Yotei. They do selling it like about the same as the US, if I'm not mistaken, because currently some of the PS5 games were selling like $70, like usually the first party games, any games that is released from the straight from PlayStation Studios. So okay, my current experience again, they do have some sort of price control over there. Like there's no some sort of deep discount like the ones that Nintendo Switch 2 does currently. So there was like around yeah, sometimes they do sell the similar price in the ones. But what my concern is about is that although this might lead to existence of the availability of the Switch Online and the eShop specifically in certain countries in Southeast Asia, but my future thoughts is that if their distributions is getting like some sort of like getting handed back over to Nintendo, like having Nintendo controlling it, things might actually could significantly different, because given like what Sony is doing, like maybe they're gonna like selling it the similar price as the one that in the US does, like they're gonna selling it, or maybe in Japan, or maybe they're just gonna keep it as is. They're just gonna establishing the subsidiary here mainly for marketing purposes. And yes, I heard that they're going to establishing its local entity in Thailand, because also recently, mainly due to the their marketing stuff over there, since Thailand it has Thailand they hold on. Because in Thailand, Nintendo's games were being, being promoted in their own language, and also recently, I heard the news that the Nintendo is confirming that Donkey Kong Bonanza is also going to support Thai language, since it is their national language, and most of them, like, yes, they might actually doing some sort of a localization, but then again, their purpose is mainly just to accelerate their own business, specifically in these regions, and they do not have any plans to using that subsidiary just to translate all the games into their national language, but Nintendo was then again going to say they're gonna make any announcements on some of the Nintendo games having more of the translations to that country as well. So so my suggestion, my guess was they only opened the Nintendo of Singapore just to do mainly to accelerating their businesses, and mainly on a marketing side, and as well as the probably some regulation stuff, and as well as the potentially bringing in Nintendo eShop and the Switch Online. So specifically, not just in Singapore, but also previously they do mention 3 other countries, which is my home country, Malaysia, Thailand, and as well as the Philippines, because they previously mentioned these 4 countries for the Nintendo Switch 2 rollout, where my home country, Malaysia, was getting delayed by a week, which is in July, due to some sort of a due to some sort of the bureaucracy from the from the local regulators. So I probably assuming that once they actually did that, maybe they're gonna open even more, probably in my home country, but still that depends on how Nintendo is going to do with it. But for now, I just only know that Singapore is getting it. They are considering to open one in Thailand because well, they're using it because Thailand has their own language. They need some additional powers to do it, and probably in my home country there is not have anything to change yet, but maybe this would lead up to a speed up of the rollout process. So
yeah, I feel like they might expand this branch of Nintendo a little more, once they see that this region is successful. Right now, we are, like you said, they are doing, a little bit in Thailand, with, Donkey Kong Bonanza getting a localization. But I feel like they might expand, a little more. Once they see this region as profitable, they might expand more into the localization side after they kind of expand in terms of their business and rolling out Switch Online and the eShop and everything. So I think we might eventually see that from them, kind of similar to how we see obviously the localization parts of Nintendo of America and Nintendo of Europe. So I think we might see that eventually. Just kind of depends on how they're going to handle this and how successful this is going to be. But I think this is definitely a pretty good opportunity for Nintendo, because this is I would say this is a pretty profitable region for them. They're already selling their games there through distributors, and I've seen you post a lot of pictures before of different Nintendo promotions in your country, different little things and game stores and different things like that. So I could definitely see this region being pretty good for Nintendo. I would say it's also within closer proximity to Japan than some of their other branches, so I feel like it probably won't be as hard to kind of kind of roll things out. So yeah, I just think this was like a pretty good opportunity for Nintendo, and it would be nice for them to like expand into more regions in the future. So yeah, do you have any like
Yes.
other thoughts about like how kind of how I was saying like how Nintendo was promoting things in your country and everything, or at least like through the distributor? Because I kind of found that interesting when you were like showing like pictures of like Switch 2 demos and different things. So I'm kind of interested in
Oh
hearing
yeah,
about
right.
that.
So okay, so all right. I did went some of the game shops that yes, some of them they do it by themselves, but some of them they just do it straight from distributor where there's like where Switch 2 is being modified into a demo stuff like the ones that you see in the America, like like they let you like um select any of the games just to play the demo version of it. So but yeah, some of the game shops in my area they do it for themselves, like by themselves, like they setting up a Switch 2 like intentionally like inserting the actual game card into it just to let the public to play or trying out the Switch 2. But but yes, it is kind of be a very good experience. Like it's kind of like making sure a lot of customers was like getting know about the Switch 2 even more easier. Since generally they do have some of the demos for other PC handhelds as well, and as well as the upcoming ones like for instance we got the Asus ROG Ally, the one with the Xbox buttons in it, and as well as many others like MSI, Zotac, and many others. Like they do have like the actual demos, and so is the phones itself because of the unknown reason, because for some reason that I did not know that I did not know, but mainly just to make customers being interested to it. So
Yeah, but I'm seeing like some of like the promotional stuff like in different game stores like around Malaysia. It kind of looks, yeah, it does look more like something that would have been handled by either like the retailers or the distributor rather than Nintendo themselves. It doesn't look like officially like it was Nintendo, just like something that probably would have been kind of created by like an outside or third party source and everything. But yeah,
yes.
I have a feeling that like once Nintendo does kind of have like a branch in your region, they probably will have more promotions, as we've seen in Brazil when Nintendo like opened a branch there. They started to have like a lot more in terms of that there. So I think we could probably be seeing that in like the next like couple years. So it's pretty interesting.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They did at one point. They did it with the Mario Wonder at that time, which is probably the ads was literally run by a distributor themselves. And most recently, with the Switch 2 hardware itself, they did showing it up in a huge screen outside of a mall at that time. So yeah, maybe in a couple of years we could see a lot of these, probably in the trains or maybe on the billboards and stuff. And yeah, you name it.
But yeah, I think we've discussed like most of kind of like the relevant things about this. But yeah, I definitely think this is a pretty good move for Nintendo. It will definitely make their games accessible to like even more people, even though they were already being sold there. I feel like they'll probably be more widespread, especially like with the eShop probably going to roll out there fairly soon. But yeah, anyways, I think this is pretty interesting, so I wanted to discuss this, especially since this is like relevant to you and everything, Marcus.
And yeah,
so.
also I do have a lot of thoughts about it. So maybe if once again, if this thing is successful, maybe they're not just gonna rolling out their Nintendo stuff officially, not just in the 4 countries, but definitely other countries as well. Like we have Indonesia, which is they didn't have mentioned by Nintendo. So I just hope that Nintendo is going to expand not just these 4 countries alone, but probably even more countries like maybe Indonesia, Vietnam, because let's not forget some of the Switch hardware was literally made there, and probably in, if not just in Southeast Asia, but also in South Asia as well. Let's not forget we got India, which is their population is actually huge. But I'm surprised that when the fact that Nintendo did not look at there, which is kind of baffling, because meanwhile Sony was like already dominating it all over. I just want to see not just Sony having a lot of presence in a lot of regions, but also Nintendo as well. So yeah, I think it's definitely really interesting and exciting as well. But I hope that like this would actually lead to like Nintendo having the same spot as Sony does. So yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned India, because yeah, I've heard that Nintendo has never really had a presence there before. So it would definitely be good if Nintendo kind of like expanded into that region as well, and kind of had like a branch for South Asia. So there's definitely a lot of regions they could expand into. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more, and make sure to subscribe to Marcus as well, and make sure to check out my Discord server and Blue Sky if you want to. Stay perky!